All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to TrendSpider Live. My name is Mike. Today, I'm joined with Jim from Trade Pulse to watch the AMD earnings as they happen in real time. If you guys are out there in the chat, go ahead and say what's up. And Jim, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, what's up, Mike? Pumped
What
to
is
be
going
here,
on?
even on a day where we've seen some crazy action in the market here.
Yeah, not the greatest, not the most bullish of days. If we start by just taking a look at the SPY to begin with, you can see ever since the market opened, it has essentially been a bloodbath. But as you can see, over the last, since a couple hours, we've gotten a little bit of a retracement, but not that much. And of course, we're looking, all eyes are kind of on the semiconductor sector today with AMD and SMCI is reporting today as well. So we'll see how these perform. Let's take a look at the daily chart. First of all, of AMD. If you guys are out there in the chat, let us know if you guys are trading AMD or if you guys are trading any semiconductor names. I always like to see what everybody is trading out there. But as you can see here on the AMD daily charts, we're holding actually pretty well above the 2024 high at 227 right here. We have a nice big gap below us as well, which is a little bit scary, but as long as we hold above it, we probably should be fine. But what are your thoughts on AMD here going into the close, Jim? Anything?
Yeah, well, I would say um, the chip sector is just interesting as a whole. It it can be pretty volatile as we've seen, and even if earnings beat expectations, things may not bump as high as you'd like. I think as we saw
Yeah.
in the third quarter earnings, I believe they beat expectations by a little bit, and I think the stock may have been down the following day, not really reacting the way people thought. A lot of
Yeah.
factors go into that. So, but I'm hopeful. I'm exposed to AMD myself. I know they've developed some partnerships recently with OpenAI um, in the last year. So I know that's still pretty early on in their partnership, but they're definitely expanding.
Yeah.
They've been roaring over the last year, so
They
hopefully
sure
we can
have.
continue it.
Yeah, they were lagging NVIDIA for the longest time, and then they finally started catching up. But yeah, as you guys can see here, I'm actually on the 1-minute chart of AMD, and I have the Trade Pulse indicators, two of the Trade Pulse indicators on my lower panel. We have the Trade Pulse large deal indicator and the Trade Pulse momentum indicator. The large deal one is essentially tracking, orders over 100,000, aka mostly institutional trading volume. And then the momentum one is tracking essentially everything else, right? Maybe Jim, if you want to give us just a brief overview of what we're looking at here on our lower
Mhm.
panel.
Yeah, for sure. So, Trade Pulse, we're an order flow analytic company. If you were to visit our site or the indicators that are on TrendSpider, you would see the data flows that we provide. So again, we provide real-time market flow data, real-time order flow data. So, in terms of the order flow data, like Mike said, we separate our order flows out. We have what's called a large deal flow data, which is what's indicated on the top indicator
Mhm.
there. Like you mentioned, it's really capturing anything $100,000 or more. So it's typically, your hedge fund, mutual fund type orders. Really, anything institutionally there is really what we're tracking. And then on the momentum side, it's capturing the intraday sentiment on the retail side. So giving you a sense of kind of what the overall market's doing, separate from those big money orders that are coming in. So, we've been able to train our model to be able to separate these data flows. We've been doing this since 2019.
Nice.
So we've been able to test and train the model over the years to be able to separate these type of orders out and provide it in real time. So, but yeah, those are the two indicators we provide. They're available on the store, and feel free
Yeah.
to check them out.
Yeah, link is down below in the chat and in the description for you guys to check out the Trade Pulse indicators. And it's kind of interesting, at least kind of what I'm seeing going in here. The large deal one, the institutional flow up top, has been essentially red all throughout the day and is been getting, if anything, increasingly red. But on the momentum indicator, it's been a little bit more back and forth, and even into the close right here, as we started kind of breaking up out of this 1 minute kind of consolidation, started to flip green. So does that mean that we're seeing a lot of more, just basically more retail, buying into this going into close, or just general trading? You think maybe institutions are have already, because if you see the pre-market session, a lot of all the green in the large deal flow is in the pre-market session. So maybe, I don't know if that has any relation to how it's trading today. Do you think institutions were selling going into the market open here, and that's why we're seeing all this selling today? Or what do you think going into this?
Yeah, it certainly looks like they were doing it early on
Yeah,
in the market. You can really see that dip it took in the first hour or two of
yeah,
trading today. And even with it being red, you can still see, for example, on the bottom being the momentum indicator, and even with the institutional one as well. Even if it's in the red, you can still see the trends, whether they're going up or down. And you can see, as we've gotten closer to the close here, the momentum indicator specifically, you can really see how that's trended upwards,
yeah,
indicating that the buying pressure is really increased on the whole retail side. And it really, what we're trying to do is give everybody a sense of the whole market by separating both retail from institution.
yeah,
So ideally, if you were to be able to track these indicators, if you were to see both the retail pointing upwards, the institutional pointing upwards, that should give you a pretty good sense of where the market's probably moving.
yeah. That makes sense. And we're a little bit flipped today. I mean, seems like institutional trading with the large deal indicator has been trending downwards, and then kind of the inverse here, which maybe just because it's earnings. There's a lot of people hedging their bets. I'm sure a lot of people, potentially buying puts and calls to hedge just a big move in either direction. But it's definitely interesting to see how they're trending kind of inversely going into the close right here. But we'll see what happens as we come into close. We got about 8 minutes until the market does go ahead and close. Just got a couple of red candles, giving back a lot of the gains that they just recently made right there. And while we wait, I want to go ahead and prompt something to Sidekick real quick. I don't know if you've used Sidekick at all, Jim, but it is our AI trading agent essentially. And what I like to do is I just like to have it analyze the earnings before and after the numbers drop to see what it says. So real quick, I'm just giving it this quick prompt right here to analyze AMD going into earnings. And I'm actually I'm telling it to tell us whether it's a buy, hold, or sell. It's always kind of fun to see what AI has to say. So let's see. The EPS estimate, as you can see, $1.24 per share. Revenue, $9.7 billion. And it is saying hold. So it says reasoning with the stock at 243, already up pretty big pre-earnings. Stretch valuations. The risk to reward is balanced. But it's saying wait for post-earnings clarity. Well, hold is cool, I guess. We'll take a look at the recent news as well in AMD. Apparently Kathy Wood was buying shares recently. I actually did not see that. So that's a cool little headline going into it. Kathy Woods, haven't really seen her much around lately ever since the 2021 hype. I guess they're saying Intel struggles with capacity constraints, which is interesting because from what I was seeing, Intel was one of the only semiconductors up on the day. Intel, I have the SMH holdings list right here, and we see Intel at about plus 0.7% on the day. So actually hanging in there better than most things today, along with TER, which is Teradyne. They actually reported earnings, was it yesterday after the market closed. So Teradyne is up 13% and absolutely killing it. Look at that chart. That is insane. But let's see what else we got here. Let's take a look at the memory names. Have you traded the memory names at all, like Micron or SanDisk, Jim?
Micron, a
Nice,
little bit of SanDisk, but yeah,
nice.
Micron I've been in for a while.
Yeah, no, it's been a great name to trade for sure, Micron. But it's down today, which is a big change. It's really been going only up, but it's recently started to kind of slow down a little bit here. And we got a couple people in the chat. What is going on, Michael Anthony? And that's so funny. That's my first name and middle name, Michael Anthony. Someone said the RE ETF SBRA announced the release day and conference call for just earnings for SBRA. Thanks for that. How's it going, Dollar Smile FX? So welcome to the live. If you guys are all out there in the chat, let us know. Go ahead and say hi. If you guys have any questions for Jim while he's here, definitely do go ahead and let us know about these trade pulse indicators that we're going to be watching AMD earnings with. It'll be actually pretty fun to see how the flow is going into the aftermarket session. Do you normally trade aftermarket or pre-market, Jim, with these indicators, or do you mostly use them intraday?
Intraday, so the data is really best used for short-term trading.
Yeah.
So, we're really geared towards the active trader intraday, and that's really what the platform and indicators are best used for. I think you had a pretty good example there. Was it TER that you had pulled up?
Yep. Pull that up real quick again.
Oh, I think this, like I mentioned a moment ago, like the way we separate our data flows is to give you a full sense of the market, not putting everything together, being able to separate by retail, separate by institution. And, generally speaking, when you see a lot of positive action for both flows, we should see the price action kind of follow. So like you mentioned, TR has been one of the only ones hanging on today. You can see that's probably been one of the ones with the most positive flows today.
It looks like, I mean, super bullish on the large deal most of the day, except for the morning kind of sell-off that really hit everything. But I drew a horizontal or vertical line right here where both of them started, showing, strong momentum, these big green bars. I mean, the large deal has been trending up almost all day ever since like kind of here. And so it's looking pretty good going into close for Teradyne. It looks like there's definitely been some institutions buying it up, which is pretty wild considering how much it's up today. As you can see, it's practically hitting all-time highs, and it's been just going straight up vertical lately. And if you go down all the way to the 1-minute chart, I guess if you would have used both these indicators here, the momentum and the large deal, and you saw them starting to flip green right here, would have been a pretty decent long signal right here. Is that kind of how you would use it when you see them both in tandem here? Would you use these indicators in conjunction with anything else, or are you trading strictly based on this flow usually?
So I would say, as it relates to what you see on TrendSpider, the flows would probably be what you would want to base your decision off of, as well as the price action that you're seeing. Really, you could use it in a variety of ways. Like if you see the price has really dipped, but now you see the order flow starting to change. Typically, and again, on all sides of the market, you see it changing. Generally speaking, we would expect the price to follow suit. Conversely, if you see it dropping, and people ask us all the time, because the indicator we provide on our platform is a bullish indicator. A lot of questions we get is, well, how do I know when to get out? And you can use the flow data for that as well, because if you see a real dip in the institutional side, a real dip in the retail side, that could be your trigger point to be like, okay, there's a lot of selling action going on here. I want to get out before the price really reacts to that. So,
yeah, makes sense. Let's flick over to Intel real quick, because Intel is one of the only other names in the semiconductor space that is green today. It's actually up technically 1%. So let's take a look at the daily chart here. So interesting day on Intel. Let's take a look back at the 1 minute. And again, it's really, I mean, intraday, at least, it's been pretty bearish still. But that was the bell that just rang. So let me pull up AMD and we'll take a look at what is going on as the market closes here. It should be interesting with these indicators to see what's going on. So instantly see the momentum indicator flip red right there into the close as we get some more volume. And for those wondering, the AMD earnings, it looks like they're set to be announced 15 minutes after the bell, actually. And let's take a look at SMCI right here, 5 minutes after the bell for SMCI. And then we also got a bunch of other stuff reporting too. It's some decent names like ENPH. We got Chipotle reporting as well. Got Light, LITE. That has been another interesting one as well. Let's take a look at Light real quick. Have not looked at that one much today. Looking decent so far. Light should come out at about 1:03, so 3 minutes after the bell. And what I'm going to do right now is actually going to pull up more of these earnings. Let's see. We got ENPH as well. To ENPH tanking right now. That might just be a weird candle there. But so far, oh yeah, that was a weird candle just on the 1 minute. Craziness. And I'm curious, do these indicators actually change from the time frame, or they're just like consolidated? Like, is the 1 minute flows going to be like a lot different from a 5 minute chart?
It's all aggregated.
Yeah.
So, on our platform, if you wanted to see it minute by minute, you could. If you wanted to stretch it out to 5 or 10 minutes to get a longer picture view, you could do that as well. So,
okay.
It gets averaged out if you stretch out the time period.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So, yeah, we're just patiently awaiting the numbers, you guys. If you guys are out there in the chat, let us know if you guys are in AMD. We got some people chatting. People are asking, what is the move for AMD? I asked Sidekick earlier, and it was saying hold, which honestly, if you're not in it already, probably kind of smart just with how, kind of choppy the market has been lately with SPY down so much today. Definitely some risk. Let me see. Yeah, of course, no worries. Happy to cover these for you guys. We're probably going to stream also the AMD earnings call in about an hour, I believe, when it comes out. Someone asked about SMCI. I think more people would probably want to see AMD, but maybe we can have a vote later on when it gets closer to the earnings call. But yeah, for everyone asking, AMD is 15 minutes after the bell. Someone is asking about Chipotle as well. Let's take a look at CMG. Might as well here. CMG, very interesting price action so far. Let me see what time this one is scheduled to come out. CMG expected at 1:10, so 10 minutes after the bell, or 4:10 Eastern time. Let's take a look. People are asking as well about SMCI. Let's take a look at the SMCI daily chart while we wait for the numbers to get released. Wow. Yeah, SMCI, that doesn't look like most of the semi charts really, does it? I mean, semis have not been great lately, but look at SMCI. I mean, it's trading down at like the 2023 lows basically, which is kind of insane. When you compare it to a chart of something like AMD, which is trading nearly at all-time highs. Let's take a look at the revenue here. Their last quarter revenue didn't seem very good. Not seeing numbers out for SMCI quite yet. What was the earliest report here? I believe it was supposed to be SMCI. Yeah, 5 minutes after the bell. So let's maybe pull up that one. We'll probably get these numbers before any of the others. SMCI getting some nice buying here. Add this to the left. If you guys are ready for these numbers, and if your first time here on a TrendSpider Live, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe because you're going to be live about 3 or 4 times for the next month or two at least. So we'll definitely want to see you guys back here again watching these reports with us. Also, make sure to check out Trade Pulse using the links down below. We got their indicators here on the TrendSpider platform. Getting some decent price action here on SMCI. Ever since the market closed, they are up just about $1 from like 29 to a little bit over 30, up about 1%. So nothing crazy yet, but the numbers should be coming out, I believe, any second now. Not seeing them yet. We'll keep refreshing these news widgets. But someone said light might be taking a move here. Lights, wow. Let's see what we got on light. So I got the news widget open right here on my sidebar. It looks like lights EPS came in at 167, beating $1.40 per share. And then sales at 665 million, beating 646 million estimate. So double beat here on light. Wow, up 12%. That is an insane move. Breaking out to new all-time highs, close to $500 a share. So congrats to everybody holding light. If you guys are in light, let us know down in the chat below. Wow. Very nice move. 12% right there.
Somebody said light flight. I like that.
Light flight. Yeah, there you go. Absolutely love it. I'm sure that guy has a ton of light calls or some equity. You guys are in light, let us know down in the chat below. Someone's mentioning SMCI now. Let's take a look. Patiently waiting for these numbers to come out. Doesn't seem to have came out yet. Same here with AMD. Let's see if Chipotle has moved at all. I believe was Chipotle. Yeah, Chipotle's last earnings was absolutely terrible. If you guys can see this candle right here, this was when they were saying, this one like DoorDash and all this stuff, you know, revenues were declining, I believe it was. So wasn't a great move for Chipotle last time, but honestly, they've recovered up pretty nicely. So hopefully you won't see a repeat of that if you're in Chipotle. TTWO. Yeah, TTWO. Thanks for the shout out for that. Stance Gaming. Very fitting name. Take-Two Interactive up 5% in after-hour session, and it is pumping up. Let's take a look at what the numbers are over here. Don't see them yet, but it looks like they might be out. Will not forget about that. If you guys are seeing anything else, let us know down in the chat. I'm going to start prompting Sidekick, though, once we start getting some more of these numbers out. Yeah, TTWO looking really good here in the close. SMCI actually dumped a little bit there. Still not seeing numbers interesting enough, though. So you keep flicking back and forth here between all of these. AMD should be out in 7 minutes. SMCI should have been out now for those asking out there. A lot of people in here waiting for these SMCI numbers, as are we, because they should have been out by now, which is interesting. But it's an interesting look here on the weekly chart. It has been pretty badly beat down, has not been able to catch a bid, not really following up with most of the semiconductor names. EPS has been trending not so great. Same also with revenue. The revenue growth is just nowhere near as good as some of these other names. Yeah, let's take a look and see what Sidekick has to say for SMCI. Do the same prompt here for SMCI so we can see what Sidekick has to say going into the close. Move that aside. Go back to the 1 minute here. Nothing yet, though. Same with AMD. Let's see if NVIDIA happens to be moving. Not really. NVIDIA was interesting on the momentum indicator, though. Could have caught a nice run up into the earnings right there. Let's see here, though.
Yeah, minimizing our losses there.
That's good. Yeah, no, I had a nice retracement Probably back up to a lot of break evens right over here. A lot of people seem to have been selling out right there at this 180 level. But here's the SMCI expected numbers. Yeah, 46 cents a share and 10.4 billion in revenue. Wow. And it's actually, Sidekick is actually saying sell. It says don't hold into this print. The setup is awful. Revenue decline. Oh no. Yeah, it had a weird data point just because the saying minus 100% year over year expected, but that is not correct, which is fine. Let's see. If you're long, exit before the bell. If you're not, wait for post earnings clarity. So Sidekick is not very optimistic apparently about SMCI into the close here, but we'll see how that opinion holds up. Not seeing any movement yet though.
Hey, usually the slate.
See
You said 405, right?
Yeah, it should have been. It should have been out by now. Someone said CMG down now. Oof. Yeah, it looks like we might be getting a replay of the last quarter for CMG, down about 10%. Man, CMG just cannot catch a break, as you can see on the daily chart. Anyone that bought before last earnings was barely in the break even this morning, and now they are back down. SMCI, nothing is going on, unfortunately. At least yet. AMD starting to come down a bit here. SMCI, we're still just waiting, you guys. Still just waiting here for both AMD and SMCI. Somebody's calling AMD 15% aftermarket. I'm calling it. Let's see how that goes. While we're waiting, let's see. So SMCI is trading right around 30. Let's go into the daily chart right here. That is an interesting psychological 30 level. Trading at mostly like the lower end of its range. I mean, seen some reactions here down in the low 20s as well. But, you know, if time the bottom on this right, you could see a movement back up to the range back up here above the 40s to the 60s. But, of course, the numbers and the post-market moves will dictate that once we finally get it. Still nothing. They're really making us wait today. We're probably going to get it, the numbers released, you know, in just a few minutes. So if you guys are out there in the chat, let us know what you guys are thinking. Seems like a lot of people are pretty bullish on SMCI. But no numbers out yet.
Might get AMDs before it.
Let's see. What was that? AMD what?
I said we might get their earnings before.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, AMD's EPS a couple of quarters ago, quarter 2, 2025 was pretty nasty. I forgot about that quarter. Yeah, it's most likely to come out in 2 minutes. Somebody said they took a gamble on SMCI because they have been horrible around earnings, but this one was double of what they normally bring in. Interesting. What is the gamble that you took? At least Santiago. Yeah, we did take a look at Chipotle. Let's see. EPS beat, sales beat, double beat on Chipotle. But unfortunately, apparently it was not good enough. Most boring ticker award, someone says, goes to CRM. Yeah, software has been pretty gnarly. I don't know if you guys saw PayPal today, but that one is down pretty good today as well. Could probably talk about that a little bit later on. So Santiago took $30 30 strike call options for 2.6. That is quite the gamble. But, you know, that's pretty much at the money, actually. So not too bad. You're not fighting too much theta decay, at least if we move up. Or volatility, I should say. Let's see. I keep saying, let's go, Lisa. Yeah. If you guys are excited to watch Lisa Su on the AMD earnings call, let us know. We just watched Alex Karp yesterday. That guy is always interesting to watch. Fun CEO. Oh, man. We got, it's 8:50 or 4:15 now. Here we go. AMD starting to get some movement to the upside, finally. SMCI is just lagging. Oh, I don't know. AMD's now going down. Uh-oh.
Do you have any numbers there?
It seems like they are. I am not seeing them yet. I'm going to keep refreshing our news widget here. Times it takes a second for it to update, but it seems like the numbers should be out. If you guys see them out in the chat, let us know, but we should have them any second here. Let me flick over to SMCI, see if we get any movement there. Nothing on SMCI yet. It's a little bit weird. I need to keep refreshing here, though. Yeah, so far, price action, though, not looking so much in AMD's favor. This is interesting. We saw a lot of retail, or just the momentum indicator down here, the trade pulse indicator, starting to show some red bars just a few minutes before the sell-off, which is pretty interesting to see. Revenue 10.3 billion. Wasn't that a little bit lower than what was expected? Let me see. I'm gonna keep refreshing here.
Looks like a double beat for AMD.
Okay. Oh yeah, it looks like it was 1.24 estimate EPS and 9.7 billion. But either way, stock price is not looking super great. Someone's talking about SMCI. So you had a little bit of a drop there. Someone said SMCI back at scamming reports. Yeah. Not the greatest look there, was it? Man, I'm not seeing the numbers from the official news desk yet, though. Usually like to wait for those because you know how weird earnings can be right as they are released. The earnings definitely are out, just waiting for the official news feed to report it. What is happening with the SMCI? Somebody asked. Well, we're patiently waiting for numbers to come in. Not much is going on with SMCI quite yet. Down maybe a couple percent.
Looks like the EPS was $1.53.
For which one? SMCI or
AMD?
Okay, nice.
And revenue is 10.27 billion. And the expected was 9.6.
Yeah. So that sounds like a double beat, but as you alluded to earlier, Jim, even if they have a double beat, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes the market just expects more as we continue selling off. Not sound crazy. Or go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's all relative to their own expectations and within the market itself. Their competitors, Nvidia, Intel. If the growth isn't as large as what they think it should be versus the share of the market, even though they exceed, you still may not see the jump you want.
Yeah, no, 100%. We've seen it multiple times. Yeah, Palantir reported yesterday. They did end up going up, but a lot of it, maybe just because of the overall market, was kind of given back in the morning. Still overall pretty good move. And yeah, just a brutal day overall in the market today, you guys. I mean, down 6% on AMD so far. Let's check out SMCI's. SMCI released anything yet? Doesn't seem like it. So we're patiently waiting for SMCI still. We can take a look at some of these other names like ENPH, see if we're going to move there. ENPH, a little bit of a move upward. Again, we saw light absolutely crushed it. So congrats to you guys in light. Let's see. EA, not really anything there. And TTWO did pretty good. It's interesting. Our news feed still isn't updating. But yeah, still double beat on AMD. But yeah, Jim, if there's, now that these numbers are out and you've kind of seen a lot of this price move it, if there's anything else that you want to discuss in the market, trades you've taken, talk about your indicators, anything to watch out for, feel free to bring anything up, really up in the air. We'll just keep flicking back to AMD and SMCI here, but let's see. Yeah, still nothing.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly in the tech, NVIDIA. NVIDIA and Microsoft both took it on the chin today. So I'm looking for any good news there.
Yeah. NVIDIA came down a little bit there with AMD. Let's take a look at what some of their peers are doing. Intel down pretty good on this this AMD dip as well here. Well, 1%, but it gave back a lot of that intraday, pump it made at the end of the day. Yeah, finally, our news widget here. Yeah, same thing. The Benzinga news desk. EPS $1.53, sales 10.27. Let's go ahead and see what Sidekick has to say about these numbers now that they are out. So all I'm going to do is pull it up right over here. Give it this prompt. So before it said hold, before the numbers came out, AI said hold Sidekick AI. If you guys didn't know, TrendSpider Sidekick AI is connected to all the market's data, including news, fundamentals. It can read your charts and read your indicators. And so I always like to use it to analyze really everything. But here's the numbers right here. Make this full screen. Nice, beautiful chart it made. I mean, honestly, a beautiful looking earnings beat. $1.53, way over the estimate, way over Q4 2024. Same with revenue, straight up to the right. It's exactly what you want to see. Looks like beat by 16% on EPS and then 6.2% on revenue. Forward guidance here looks like for Q1 2026 came in just about at the midpoint, so basically in line. It says beat by a little bit at midpoint, 9.39, but oh yeah, so they beat a little bit. It came in at 9.5 to 10.1 billion versus the 9.39 estimate, it looks like. Let's see. OpenAI reaffirms NVIDIA partnership, raising competitive concerns for AMD is one of the most recent news stories. And now, it flicked over to buy. So before it was saying, hold going into earnings. But, with AMD tanking right now, based on mostly the fundamentals, at least, and this good guidance, AMD did also report pretty good guidance. Sidekick flipped over to buy. And so interesting take. If we take a look at the daily here, still trading above this pretty big gap that it made right over here back in October. So I'd say as long as it holds, above 200 or even above this 2024 high, like 227, it's in a pretty decent spot. What did we hit right now? Are we above 227? We're actually sitting right at 231, which is pretty much right above that high. So it's testing it quite a bit here. So I'd say key levels to watch are pretty much there. And then, maybe like right here, this kind of whole range. So from an investor standpoint, that's probably what you guys want to see. Did we ever get SMCI numbers?
Somebody said 430 release. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, 430. Oh, yeah, maybe we'll get in 6 minutes. It is a tough environment for sure. Robert Spears. Let's see. Short bias for sure, says Robert Spears. Yeah, SMCI. Hopefully we get these numbers here in just about 5 minutes. We can use Sidekick to analyze them. But I mean, man, AMD is not doing any help here, being down about 6% in the after hours session. Well, now it's starting to come back up just a little bit. If we can draw some fibs on this after hours movement here, let's take a look. Got some kilos there. That it needs to break over here in the after hours session. You know, maybe the 61.8% level at 233 is an interesting one. You would want it to clear. Let's see. If you guys are out there in the chat, let us know what you guys are thinking SMCI is going to do. Is it going to follow in tune with AMD and drop, or will we get a rally? Hopefully, for the market's sake, get a little bit of a rally here. AMD just broke over that fib level right there. Let's see what else we got. I think Powell was another one reporting today. Definitely a lesser known name, but it has been trending actually really well on the daily here. Looks like they increased their dividend on Powell, which is cool. Interesting sell on the momentum indicator here on AMD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty dramatic for the momentum indicator there. You can see flipping from positive to negative order flow.
Yeah.
And the candle there kind of represents that as well.
Definitely. So we'll see. Maybe people are, you know, they held through the earnings and they saw that dip, waited for it to retrace a little bit, maybe to the 61.8, and then they're like, you know what, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at SMCI. Still waiting here on SMCI. This has been 5 p.m. SMCI. Someone is saying out there in the chat. If it doesn't report in 3 minutes, then yeah, that might be the case. But in the meantime, let me take a look at when the AMD earnings call will be active, because I think probably a lot of people out there will be interested to listen to Lisa Su, one of the bigger CEOs. Let's see. Go ahead and register for that. Yep. So AMD will have their earnings call in about 30 minutes. I can go ahead and play that for you guys. Let's see. It says, how much, somebody asked, how much lower can SMCI really go? You can always, if you take a look at the weekly chart here, I mean, if it breaks this, I mean, it has this kind of base that it's formed and is reacted to many, many times here if we go through the weekly. So, I mean, it definitely can retrace all the way back down to the low of it. That's under 20. So, I mean, it would be tough to see it go down even lower than that. We'll have to see what happens. It's kind of sketchy on SMCI's part that they haven't reported their earnings based on the history of earnings for this company. Not going to lie, but
yeah. Definitely not stoking confidence.
Yeah, no. And we got 1 minute until 30 minutes after the bell. It's officially here. So if it doesn't have earnings by then yeah, a little bit weird. A little bit weird. Let me check out their investor relations page real quick and see if anything is going on there. I think they have the webcast, of course, but when is that scheduled for? Also at 2 p.m. So we could play either the AMD or the SMCI earnings call. I feel like most people want to see AMD, but we'll see. If you guys are out there in the chat, let us know what you guys are seeing right now. course, everyone's seen AMD go down, but if you guys have anything else on your radar that you guys are watching that we are not covering, let us know. If you have any questions for Jim here about the trade pulse indicators, which you can find using the link down below, let us know. And of course, subscribe so you guys can join us on future lives. But AMD just broke right down back below, close to that low of the aftermarket session and low of the day. Not looking super hot for these semiconductors.
I was going to say, you wonder how much of that is related to the industry at whole rather than AMD itself, because obviously the numbers, fundamentals look good.
Yeah.
But the chip industry as a whole, got pretty crushed today, and you wonder how much is the fear of the industry playing into that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, yeah. Pretty bad day to report earnings for really any company today. I mean, everything got pretty crushed for the most part. So definitely good call there. But, maybe we see some support here at 227. We did get a little bit of reaction there so far, but, if we do end up being able to hold that 227, might not be the worst look. There's been a lot of reactions to that level. About Lumen. Yeah, I believe LUMN. Let's take a look at Lumen. Take a look at these numbers. It looks like Lumen EPS beats, 23 cents beats negative 27-cent estimate. And then sales just barely missed by $0.002 billion. 3.041 reported. Estimate was 3.043 on Lumen Technologies. Interesting chart setup here on Lumen. Almost like a kind of bull flag right here, sort of.
Yeah.
Now, had a nice uptrend, has come down and has been consolidating in here for quite a while. Looks like it hit the low of its range there on this earnings announcement, right around that $7 range. So as long as that holds up, it should be okay, but definitely not the greatest look on the momentum side of things. Somebody said Palantir and Meta are the only ones beating earnings that actually went up this season. Pretty much. I mean, yeah. Microsoft, came down. Same thing with AMD today. It's just, it hasn't been great, has it, you guys? And also, you guys, TrendSpider does have a free weekly newsletter. We send you guys free trade ideas every single Sunday. You guys can use the first link down below in the description to check it out. I'll also drop a link in the chat if you guys want free trading ideas sent to your inbox at no charge to your email. And wow, AMD 227 just broke a new low of day. And it's testing a very, very crucial level right now as it dips into this previous range that it has been trading in. Not looking very good. And is there still nothing for SMCI? Doesn't look like it. SMCI just being really sketchy.
Sounds like 5 o'clock, but
yeah. Which, hopefully. Somebody's saying Tesla bottom today. Yeah. Similar setup to a lot of the stuff today. Sell off for most of the day and started to finally mean revert at the end. Oh, okay. I guess it does say 5 as per their website. So I guess maybe I was seeing the wrong number there. So we can stop looking at that. But that is also, 5 is their earnings call. Usually they report their numbers before the call, which is a little bit weird. But man, AMD not catching a break at the 227 levels, currently trading at 226. What else?
after a double beat like that, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so for anybody just joining in, you guys, AMD did have a very solid earnings report. They had a double beat earnings and EPS and pretty good forward guidance as well. But even so, they are down quite a bit here in the after hours session. You can see the numbers here on my news widget. $1.53 EPS beating $1.32. Sales at $10.27 billion, beating that $9.66 billion estimate. And then the forward guidance for quarter one revenues, about 9.8 billion on the midpoint versus the 9.386 estimate. So good forward guidance, which you always want to see, but still was not enough, I guess. 5 p.m. for SMCI. I'm assuming that is Eastern Standard Time. That is when the earnings call is. And
We have any big ones tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning, let me double check. Tomorrow morning, we got Uber, NVO, and LLY. Interesting, because I believe that NVO was down pretty bad today. Day before their earnings, that is not exactly what you want to see. Let's take a look at Uber. Uber also making new lows. Yeah, LLY. This is an interesting one today, you guys. Maybe we'll use Sidekick to see what's going on here with LLY. Let me get a prompt together, because LLY reports tomorrow morning and had a very, very nasty dip today. If I put on the after hours, or no, I'm sorry, it's NVO, not LLY. I mean, NVO came down too, but yeah, interesting there. So as you guys can see, NVO is down, wow, 14% on the day. And we are going to use Sidekick AI to go ahead and figure out why. I just sent in this prompt right here, just saying, analyze NVO stocks drop today and give me the main catalyst for the drop and summarize the news. Anytime you see a drop like that, you can pretty much assume it is news driven. 2026 growth concerns is the reason why it plunged. Let's take a look here. The company warned it will face pricing headwinds in an increasingly competitive market in 2026. They announced that the day before earnings. That is not exactly the confidence you want to see, or so should I say lack of confidence you want to see going into an earnings report. That is very interesting. Have seen some companies do that in the past. Interesting tactic to me to do that the day before earnings. Go back to AMD right here. Someone said the SMCI accountant left the job before submitting the report. Oh, look at that, though. Looks like probably somewhat of a stop hunt on AMD here under that 227 level. Maybe stopping out people that were trying to play this after hours movement, or based on this 227 level in general. Yeah, I don't know. Jim, are you mostly a day trader? You take swing trades at all?
More of a buy and hold on companies that I like more long term.
Yeah.
I've been in, like, Nvidia has probably been my biggest one that I've held for a long time and have done well. It's come back to earth a little bit, but
yeah,
not as much swing trading, which is what our platform is great for. Because again, our data is really lends itself towards that. But
yeah.
honestly, sometimes just a little too busy during the day to focus on it, to take advantage. So
I hear you. I'm kind of the same way. I am definitely, I do swing trade. I kind of use TrendSpider to automate my trading node with Signal Stack, mostly the sells. But yeah,
that's a great, it's a great feature to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, but yeah, I kind of agree. I'm usually pretty busy during the day to go ahead and scalp or swing trade as well. Like I would love to do it, but just some days, like I feel like if I were to make a strategy, I'd have to do like automate the entire thing, like make a trading bot to do it for me, you know? It's just because I wouldn't, I can't promise myself I'd be able to sit there and trade a strategy every single day. And
Yeah,
yeah,
and news comes quick. So if you're not able to react
absolutely.
to it.
Yeah, it really is a full-time kind of thing, full-time kind of job, day trading. At least, you know, consistently every single day. Hazama was asking in the chat, what do you mean by stop hunt? Essentially what I mean is that if you can see this level, I'll move this line up to like right there. So this was basically what I would call like a pivot level, is like the swing low. And if you're trading a bounce here, it's a good chance, you know, people are buying here, 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 and then maybe setting their stops right below that swing level is basically what I was saying. And so, yeah, once it breaks below that swing level, a stop hunt is basically what I was saying. Market makers, you know, basically buying up your stop loss down here, and then as you can see, after that happened, it went back up right away after. It's kind of what I meant there. Yeah. Yeah, a stop loss is an automatic order to exit for you. Yeah, that's what a stop loss is. You put a stop loss, for example, at under 227, like say you said at 226.73. If the stock price hits that level, then it'll automatically sell for you. Yeah, you're right. A lot of brokers don't allow stop losses after hours, but I think definitely some do if you use extended on the order type, but it definitely depends on your broker. You're right. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let's take a look at SMCI. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions like that in the chat, let us know. And I mentioned like automating my trading with Signal Stack earlier. It's actually really easy to do. Like depending, like I use like a trailing stop, for example. You can right click anywhere on TrendSpider and do like a trailing stop long anchored and set it up to, you know, if it's intraday, I don't know what you use, like maybe a 5% trailing stop, and it'll automatically move your stop loss up to 5% below the highest high. And to automate it, all you have to do is right click, create an alert at the line. Oh, you have to do on the 5-minute. You cannot do 1-minute alerts yet, unfortunately. But let me just do it back right over here. Trailing stop long. And then as you can see here, it would have triggered here after hours if you allowed it to after hours, but you'd create an alert, and then you can do, you know, breakthrough or touch this line, put the sensitivity to 0. And then right in here, if you have Signal Stack, you can put in the webhook note, which connects to your broker. So once this alert fires, it can close the order in your broker for you, or just alert you on the mobile app or whatever. And so that's how I kind of use TrendSpider and Signal Stack to automate the exits. Saves me a lot of time, you know, having to watch charts and stuff like that, or not having to watch charts, I should say. SMCI out, says somebody out there in the chat. I am not seeing it. I'm not seeing a big move either. Yeah, it's probably not going to come out until they have their call, it sounds like. Someone mentioned ENPH as well. Yes, TrendSpider does have a script editor. Jim knows all about it. He coded this entire indicator you're seeing right here using JavaScript. We have a custom indicator editor right here. And if you want to check out the Trade Pulse indicators, again, the links are down below in the description. Very cool stuff. But yeah, there's a script editor. We do use JavaScript, and we do have an AI coding assistant. So you can actually have AI help you code an indicator. Let's see. ENPH. Let's take a look. ENPH looking pretty good. Enphase Energy beats Q4 earnings. Let's see the numbers. EPS of 71 cents beats the 58 cents estimate. Sales beat, double beat here on ENPH. And I saw forward guidance here were raised for Q1 revenues. So yeah, all around great report there on Enphase.
Some heavy institutional buying, it looked like,
Let's
since
take a look.
the close.
Wow. Yeah. Very. It looks like it started picking up here. 1448. What is that, like 2 hours before the bell or so? And then all throughout after hours, it seems like institutions are interested in ENPH. Wow, this one has been absolutely creamed over the long run.
Wow.
But decent report. Let's take a look. We can use the reports tab here to see their revenue trend. I can see it lines up pretty well with the price. As revenue declined, so did price there. Yeah, same with EPS, just not looking very good. But decent report today, at least for them. Kind of same kind of look with SMCI right here. That is still yet to report. Let's see. Yeah, someone's asking brokers that do allow stop losses after hours. I honestly don't really trade after hours, but someone did say interactive brokers. I believe that probably would be your best bet. But I have to double check on my Schwab account if after hours extended orders are allowed. Let's see. Yeah, we got 14 minutes until the AMD earnings call. So anybody else that has questions out there, let us know now. If you got any questions about the trade pulse indicators, or for Jim or me about anything on the TrendSpider platform, do let us know.
I believe we offer them for free for how many days, Mike?
What was that?
The indicators themselves are available on the store. I think you get 3 or 5 days free to test it out.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys use the link down below, it'll take you to this page. And yeah, you get a 5-day free trial of the trade pulse indicators. Actually, the link will take you here, but shows you all three of them. And I believe, yeah, you can get a trial on any of the three. Jim, if you have any recommendation for people to use, which one would you recommend that they start off with, if any?
Yeah, I would say they're all important for their own reasons. On our platform, we include all of them at the same time, so you get a full picture of the market. The large deal, I think, for anyone that just hopped on, the large deal flow data that we provide is covering any orders $100,000 or more. So where all the big money coming into the market for a stock is. The momentum flow data that you see there at the bottom is more on the retail side, so the intraday sentiment there.
This one, yeah.
And then the third one is also covering the retail momentum data, but it's averaged out over a period of days. So you get a little bit of a longer view period of how the retail market's been buying and selling a stock. So hard to say which one is most important because they both matter. I would say, when you combine them together like you are now, and you can see a positive trend for all three, generally that means a positive trend in the stock as well. So, but I would say typically, large deal flow data tends to be maybe the biggest indicator, just because it is the big money in the market, and that can really cause the biggest fluctuations in price movements. So, if you put a gun to my head and made me pick one of them, that's probably the one. But they're all very useful, and when you combine them together, it really gives you a full sense of the order flow in the market, so really how the market's moving for any stock.
Yep. Yep. Totally makes sense. As you can see, I have all three on the lower panel on my chart right here. And you guys can get a free trial of all three of them. See if you guys like them. I'll drop the link in the chats again for you guys. And it's also in the description below for you guys to go ahead and check it out. But yeah, definitely agreed. Especially if you can get a free trial, then might as well test all three and see which one suits you the best. Yeah, and someone asked about SMCI. Still, I am not seeing anything yet. I'm assuming they're not going to release anything until 10 minutes here when the earnings call starts. Yeah, so maybe we'll take a look at SMCI earnings, see how the market moves, and then maybe I'll throw on the AMD earnings call. So I think a lot more people would probably want to see Lisa Su. Let's see. Yeah, let's see what the rest of the semiconductor sector is. Another really cool thing that I like to use here on the TrendSpider platform is the stock market map. It essentially allows you to visualize a watch list. I like to put in my sector ETF list, and I had the change percent intraday since close yesterday, and then the week to date change percent, so I can see what is moving the markets today and during the week. Anything at the top right is going to be winning both on the day and the week. Gold and silver are back up today by quite a bit. We got gold up, 6% today, silver up also about 6.5%, and then energy is falling right behind them. XLE ETF. So keep an eye on energy and the metals, you guys. Materials as well. And then semiconductors are unfortunately the losers today, along with tech. So pretty tough day for tech. Good day for energy and the metals. So that is how the market. Oh, here we go. SMCI just flew up.
Ooh.
Let's take a look and refresh my news widget. Not seeing anything yet, but SMCI is indeed mooning, you guys. Ever since the close, it is up now 9%. Very, very nice movement. Hopefully this will spring through to the rest of the market. Fortunately, AMD did not get similar movements. But congrats to all of you guys out there in SMCI. Yeah, definitely.
Wow, that must have been a significant. Yeah. Well, yeah, you have the numbers?
I could look them
up here.
Do you see them? Let's see.
I'm seeing revenue beat it by 22%.
Okay.
12.7 billion. Expected was 10.3.
Interesting. Okay.
And EPS was 0.69. Expected was 0.49.
Yeah. Looking like a
so that will
pretty
do it.
Good quarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very good EPS. What did the revenue come out, you said?
12.68.
12.68. And it looks like, around like 10.5 billion or so was estimated. So looks like very good numbers there on SMCI. Yeah, I just saw them get refreshed right here. I'm seeing, 69 cents and 12.68. Very good. Very, very good numbers on SMCI indeed. Unfortunate that, let's see if this flew over to AMD at all. Doesn't seem to have. Does not seem to have flown over to AMD, unfortunately. Yeah, nice movement though. Let me take a look here at my prompt and we'll see what Sidekick has to say in just a second once I get the numbers officially in to the platform here. There we go. Yep, numbers are in there. I don't think I see any forward guidance news quite yet, but wow, SMCI keeps going up 12% from the low of the after hours session. Very, very nice. Let's go ahead and ask Sidekick here what it thinks. I put in a prompt to get AI's take and summarization of these numbers. SMCI definitely bouncing back though. Congrats to all of you guys out there that played it. Very good dip buy if you did buy recently, but here we go. As you can see, 69-cent estimate, way over the 49-cent estimate, 12.7 billion versus the 10.2 billion estimate on revenue. No forward guidance yet. Probably will get that in the call in just about 6 minutes. But Sidekick is still saying hold. It says blowout results demonstrate operational strength, but lack of forward guidance prevents conviction. We'll probably get that here in the call, though. It says wait for management commentary. So that is honestly pretty good advice if you're not in yet. But congrats to all you guys that played it. Yeah. What happened with SMCI is they crushed their earnings for those wondering. Yeah, you guys, we got 5 minutes until I stick on one of these earnings calls. So again, last chance to get any questions in about the TrendSpider platform, anything going on in the markets, or about the trade pulse indicators. Also, you guys make sure to like the video. Use the link down below to check out the trade pulse indicators and get a 5-day free trial. And also check out TrendSpider if you haven't already. You can get a trial at TrendSpider.com for as low as $19 today if you guys want to test the platform out. SMCI scam numbers again, question mark. Yeah, maybe. You never know. Never know. But let's see. Oh, they just put in forward guidance. $40 billion estimate for 2026 versus a $36 billion that was estimated. So very nice forward guidance as well on SMCI. So can't really ask for much more than that, you guys. Double B and raise or higher guidance than expected. Is AMD benefiting at all from this? Absolutely not. It is still down. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA hanging in there. Retrace some of the losses. Intel moved a little bit. Nothing crazy.
Some good news there. Shy Forever.
What was that?
Shy Forever Green in the chat.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's see. We need increased profit margins to regain. Yep. ENPH up as well. ENPH continues to fly. Continues to fly. Very nice report for them. About 12% indeed. CMG comeback. Yeah, CMG. Back from the dead. Back up 10% from their low. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yep, SMCI results are out. They had very good earnings, double B EPS and revenue, and they raised the revenue guidance for the entire 2026 year. Somebody mentioned COHR. COHR reporting today. COHR seems to be reporting tomorrow. So we will be live tomorrow as well. If you guys want to hit the subscribe button and join us again tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, you guys, just about 2 minutes left. Jim, thank you again so much for coming on to this live. It was great having you. Love the indicators. Definitely going to start using them as I look at when I use intraday price movement, which is not very often, but it is very cool to see how it breaks down the volume between institutions and retail, especially, you know, this large deal indicator. Again, you guys, it essentially tracks the volume of all orders above $100,000, which is essentially mostly institutional or big money plays. So again, use the link down below if you guys want to check out these indicators and get a 5-day free trial of them. Otherwise, Jim, is there any final note you have for the audience before we head out and play this earnings call?
Just want to thank everybody. It's been great hanging out. I'm glad everybody got to get a little green there with SMCI at the end. We needed some good news. But no, great hanging out with you, Mike. Appreciate allowing us to share our indicators with everybody as well. It's always great partnering with you guys at TrendSpider. So, yeah, like Mike said, check us out. We're on the TrendSpider story. Get it free for 5 days. Get the order flow in real time. See how you can most benefit from it and make real time decisions. So, and if you do have any questions, you can reach us. You can reach me on our website. We're at tradepulse.net as well. So, if you have any questions about the indicator specifically, feel free to reach out. But again, we're on TrendSpider and you can access us there for free. So, but great hanging out with everybody. Love everybody in the chat. Love the engagement. So, I would love to do it again with everybody. So,
absolutely. Yeah. I hope to have you on again soon, Jim. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Take care, everybody.
Right. Take care. Okay. Let's see. Oh, very cool guy. It was nice having Jim on. I will be sticking around for just a second while I get this AMD earnings call live for you guys. Still just got some background music on the AMD call. Oh, and it seems like it's just about to start right now, you guys. So let me add my screen back with audio.
If anyone should require
let me know if y'all can hear that
please press
AMD
0 on your
earnings
telephone
call.
keypad. And please note that this conference is being recorded. I will now turn the conference over to Matt Ramsey.
We'll be
VP,
listening to
Financial
Lisa
Strategy
Su
and
any
IR.
second now,
Thank you.
or any
You
minute.
may begin.
Thank you, and welcome to AMD's fourth quarter and 2025 full year financial results conference call. By now, you should have had the opportunity to review a copy of our earnings press release and accompanying slides. If you have not had the opportunity to review these materials, they can be found on the investor relations page of amd.com. Today, we will refer primarily to non-GAAP financial measures on the call. The full non-GAAP to GAAP reconciliations are available in today's press release and in the slides posted on our website. Participants in today's conference call are Dr. Lisa Su, our Chair and CEO, and Jean Hu, our Executive Vice President, CFO, and Treasurer. This is a live call and will be replayed via webcast on our website. Before we begin, I would like to note that Mark Papermaster, Executive Vice President and CTO, will present at Morgan Stanley's TMT conference on Tuesday, March 3rd. Today's discussions contain forward-looking statements based on our current beliefs, assumptions, and expectations, speak only as of today, and as such involve risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially from our current expectations. Please refer to the cautionary statement in our press release for more information on factors that could cause actual results to differ materially. With that, I will hand the call to Lisa.
Thank you, Matt, and good afternoon to all those listening today. 2025 was a defining year for AMD, with record revenue, net income, and free cash flow driven by broad-based demand for our high-performance computing and AI products. We ended the year with significant momentum, with every part of our business performing very well. We saw demand accelerate across the data center, PC, gaming, and embedded markets, launched the broadest set of leadership products in our history, gained significant server and PC processor share, and rapidly scaled our data center AI business as Instinct and ROCm adoption increased with cloud, enterprise, and AI customers. Looking at our fourth quarter revenue grew 34% year-over-year to $10.3 billion, led by record EPYC, Ryzen, and Instinct processor sales. Net income increased 42% to a record $2.5 billion, and free cash flow nearly doubled year-over-year to a record $2.1 billion. For the full year, revenue grew 34% to $34.6 billion, and we added more than $7.6 billion of data center segment and client revenue. Turning to our fourth quarter segment results, data center segment revenue increased 39% year-over-year to a record $5.4 billion, led by accelerating Instinct MI350 series GPU deployments and server share gains. In server, adoption of 5th-gen EPYC Turin CPUs accelerated in the quarter, accounting for more than half of the total server revenue. 4th-gen EPYC sales were also robust as our prior generation CPUs continue to deliver superior performance and TCO compared to competitive offerings across a wide range of workloads. As a result, we had record server CPU sales to both cloud and enterprise customers in the quarter and exited the year with record share. In cloud, hyperscaler demand was very strong as North American customers expanded deployments. EPYC-powered public cloud offerings grew significantly in the quarter, with AWS, Google, and others launching more than 230 new AMD instances. Hyperscalers launched more than 500 AMD-based instances in 2025, increasing the number of EPYC cloud instances more than 50% year over year to nearly 1,600. In the enterprise, we are seeing a meaningful shift in EPYC adoption driven by our leadership performance, expanded platform availability, broad software enablement, and increased go-to-market programs. The leading server providers now offer more than 3,000 solutions powered by 4th and 5th gen EPYC CPUs that are optimized for all major enterprise workloads. As a result, the number of large businesses deploying EPYC on-prem more than doubled in 2025, and we exited the year with record server sell-through. Looking ahead, server CPU demand remains very strong. Hyperscalers are expanding their infrastructure to meet growing demand for cloud services and AI, while enterprises are modernizing their data centers to ensure they have the right compute required to enable new AI workflows. Against this backdrop, EPYC has become the processor of choice for the modern data center, delivering leadership performance, efficiency, and TCO. Our next-generation Venice CPU extends our leadership across each of these metrics. Customer pull for Venice is very high, with engagements underway to support large-scale cloud deployments and broad OEM platform availability when Venice launches later this year. Turning to our data center AI business, we delivered record Instinct GPU revenue in the fourth quarter, led by the ramp of MI350 series shipments. We also had some revenue from MI308 sales to customers in China. Instinct adoption broadened in the quarter. Today, 8 of the top 10 AI companies use Instinct to power production workloads across a growing range of use cases. With the MI350 series, we are entering the next phase of Instinct adoption, expanding our footprint with existing partners and adding new customers. In the fourth quarter, hyperscalers expanded MI350 series availability. Leading AI companies scaled their deployments to support additional workloads, and multiple neocloud providers launched MI350 series offerings that deliver on-demand access to Instinct infrastructure in the cloud. Turning to our AI software stack, we expanded the ROCm ecosystem in the fourth quarter, enabling customers to deploy Instinct faster and with higher performance across a broader range of workloads. Millions of large language and multimodal models run out of the box on AMD, with the leading models launching with day zero support for Instinct GPUs. This capability highlights our rapidly expanding open source community enablement, including new upstream integration of AMD GPUs in VLLM, one of the most widely used inference engines. To drive Instinct adoption with industry-specific use cases, we're also adding support for domain-specific models in key verticals. As one example, in healthcare, we added ROCm support for the leading medical imaging framework to enable developers to train and deploy highly performant deep learning models on Instinct GPUs. For large businesses, we introduced our Enterprise AI Suite, a full-stack software platform with enterprise-grade tools, inference microservices, and solutions blueprints designed to simplify and accelerate production deployments at scale. We also announced a strategic partnership with Tata Consultancy Services to co-develop industry-specific AI solutions and help customers deploy AI across their operations. Looking ahead, customer engagements for our next-gen MI400 series and Helios platform continue expanding. In addition to our multi-generation partnership with OpenAI to deploy 6 gigawatts of Instinct GPUs, we are in active discussions with other customers on at-scale multi-year deployments, starting with Helios and MI450 later this year. With the MI400 series, we are also expanding our portfolio to address the full range of cloud, HPC, and enterprise AI workloads. This includes MI455X and Helios for AI superclusters, MI430X for HPC and sovereign AI, and MI440X servers for enterprise customers requiring leadership training and inference performance in a compact 8-GPU solution that integrates easily into existing infrastructure. Multiple OEMs publicly announced plans to launch Helios systems in 2026, with deep engineering engagement underway to support smooth production ramps. In December, HPE announced that they will offer Helios racks with purpose-built HPE Juniper Ethernet switches and optimized software for high-bandwidth scale-up networking. And in January, Lenovo announced plans to offer Helios racks. MI430X adoption also grew in the quarter, with new exascale-class supercomputers announced by Gency in France and HLRS in Germany. Looking further ahead, development of our next-generation MI500 series is well underway. MI500 is powered by our CDNA 6 architecture, built on advanced 2-nanometer process technology, and features high-speed HBM4E memory. We are on track to launch MI500 in 2027 and expect MI500 to deliver another major leap in AI performance to power the next wave of large-scale multimodal models. In summary, our AI business is accelerating, with the launch of MI400 series and Helios representing a major inflection point for the business as we deliver leadership performance and TCO at the chip, compute tray, and rack level. Based on the strength of our EPYC and Instinct roadmaps, we are well positioned to grow data center segment revenue by more than 60% annually over the next 3 to 5 years and scale our AI business to tens of billions in annual revenue in 2027. Turning to client and gaming, segment revenue increased 37% year over year to $3.9 billion. In client, our PC processor business performed exceptionally well. Revenue increased 34% year over year to a record $3.1 billion, driven by increased demand for multiple generations of Ryzen desktop and mobile CPUs. Desktop CPU sales set a record for the 4th consecutive quarter. Ryzen CPUs topped the bestseller lists at major global retailers and e-tailers throughout the holiday period, with strong demand across all price points in every region, driving record desktop channel sellout. In mobile, strong demand for AMD-powered notebooks drove record Ryzen PC sell-through in the quarter. That momentum extended into commercial PCs, where Ryzen adoption accelerated as we established a new long-term growth engine for our client business. Sell-through of Ryzen CPUs for commercial notebooks and desktops grew by more than 40% year over year in the 4th quarter, and we closed large wins with major telecom, financial services, aerospace, automotive, energy, and technology customers. At CES, we expanded our Ryzen portfolio with CPUs that further extend our performance leadership. Our new Ryzen AI 400 mobile processors deliver significantly faster content creation and multitasking performance than the competition. Notebooks powered by Ryzen AI 400 are already available, with the broadest lineup of AMD-based consumer and commercial AI PCs set to launch throughout the year. We also introduced our Ryzen AI Halo platform, the world's smallest AI development system, featuring our highest-end Ryzen AI Max processor with 128 gigabytes of unified memory that can run models with up to 200 billion parameters locally. In gaming, revenue increased 50% year over year to $843 million. Semi-custom sales increased year over year and declined sequentially as expected. For 2026, we expect semi-custom SoC annual revenue to decline by a significant double-digit percentage as we enter the 7th year of what has been a very strong console cycle. From a product standpoint, Valve is on track to begin shipping its AMD-powered Steam machine early this year, and development of Microsoft's next-gen Xbox featuring an AMD semi-custom SoC is progressing well to support a launch in 2027. Gaming GPU revenue also increased year over year, with higher channel sellout driven by demand throughout the holiday sales period for our latest generation Radeon RX 9000 series GPUs. We also launched FSR4 Redstone in the quarter, our most advanced AI-powered upscaling technology, delivering higher image quality and smoother frame rates for gamers. Turning to our embedded segment, revenue increased 3% year-over-year to $950 million, led by strength with test and measurement and aerospace customers, and growing adoption of our embedded x86 CPUs. Channel sell-through accelerated in the quarter as end customer demand improved across several end markets, led by test, measurement, and emulation. Design win momentum remains one of the clearest indicators of long-term growth for our embedded business, and we delivered another record year. We closed $17 billion in design wins in 2025, up nearly 20% year-over-year, as we've now won more than $50 billion of embedded designs since acquiring Xilinx. We also strengthened our embedded portfolio in the quarter. We began production of our Versal AI Edge Gen 2 SoCs for low-latency inference workloads and started shipping our highest-end Spartan UltraScale Plus devices for cost-optimized applications. We also launched new embedded CPUs, including our EPYC 2005 series for network security and industrial edge applications, Ryzen P100 series for in-vehicle infotainment and industrial systems, and Ryzen X100 series for physical AI and autonomous platforms. In summary, 2025 was an excellent year for AMD, marking the start of a new growth trajectory for the company. We are entering a multi-year demand supercycle for high performance and AI computing that is creating significant growth opportunities across each of our businesses. AMD is well positioned to capture that growth with highly differentiated products, a proven execution engine, deep customer partnerships, and significant operational scale. And as AI reshapes the compute landscape, we have the breadth of solutions and partnerships required for end-to-end leadership. From Helios in the cloud for at-scale training and inference, to an expanded Instinct portfolio for sovereign supercomputing and enterprise AI deployment. At the same time, demand for EPYC CPUs is surging as agentic and emerging AI workloads require high-performance CPUs to power head nodes and run parallel tasks alongside GPUs. And at the edge and in PCs, where AI adoption is just beginning, our industry-leading Ryzen and embedded processors are powering real-time on-device AI. As a result, we expect significant top-line and bottom-line growth in 2026, led by increased adoption of EPYC and Instinct, continued client share gains, and a return to growth in our embedded segment. Looking further ahead, we see a clear path to achieve the ambitious targets we laid out at our Financial Analyst Day last November, including growing revenue at greater than 35% CAGR over the next 3 to 5 years, significantly expanding operating margins, and generating annual EPS of more than $20 in the strategic timeframe, driven by growth in all of our segments and the rapid scaling of our data center AI business. Now I'll turn the call over to Jean to provide additional color on our fourth quarter results and full year results. Jean?
Thank you, Lisa, and good afternoon, everyone. I'll start with a review of our financial results and then provide our current outlook for the first quarter of fiscal 2026. AMD executed very well in 2025, delivering record revenue of $34.6 billion, up 34% year-over-year, driven by 32% growth in our data center segment and 51% growth in our client and the gaming segment. Gross margin was 52%, and we delivered record earnings per share of $4.17, up 26% year-over-year, while continuing to invest aggressively in AI and the data center to support our long-term growth. For the fourth quarter of 2025, revenue was a record $10.3 billion, growing 34% year-over-year, driven by strong growth in the data center and the client and the gaming segments, including approximately $390 million in revenue from MI308 sales to China, which was not included in our fourth quarter guidance. Revenue was up 11% sequentially, primarily driven by continued strong growth in data center from both server and data center AI business. as well as a return to year-over-year growth in the embedded segment. Gross margin was 57%, up 290 basis points year-over-year. We benefited from the release of $360 million in previously written down MI308 inventory reserves. Excluding the inventory reserve release and the MI308 revenue from China, gross margin would have been approximately 55%, up 80 basis points year-over-year, driven by favorable product mix. Operating expenses were $3 billion, an increase of 42% year-over-year as we continue to invest in R&D go-to-market activities to support our AI roadmap and long-term growth opportunities, as well as higher employee performance-based incentives. Operating income was a record $2.9 billion, representing a 28% operating margin. Tax, interest, and other resulting in a net expense of approximately $335 million. For the fourth quarter, diluted earnings per share was a record $1.53, an increase of 40% year-over-year, reflecting strong execution and operating leverage in our business model. Now turning to our reportable segment, starting with the data center segment, revenue was a record $5.4 billion, up 39% year-over-year and 24% sequentially, driven by strong demand for EPYC processors and the continued ramp of MI350 products. Data center segment operating income was $1.8 billion, or 33% of revenue, compared to $1.2 billion, or 30% a year ago, reflecting higher revenue and the inventory reserve release, partially offset by continued investment to support our AI hardware and software roadmaps. Client gaming segment revenue was $3.9 billion, up 37% year-over-year, driven primarily by strong demand for our leadership AMD Ryzen processors. On a sequential basis, revenue was down 3% due to lower semi-customer revenue. The client business revenue was a record $3.1 billion, up 34% year-over-year and 13% sequentially, led by strong demand from both the channel and the PC OEMs and the continued market share gain. The gaming business revenue was $843 million, up 50% year-over-year, primarily driven by higher semi-customer revenue and strong demand for AMD Radeon GPUs. Sequentially, gaming revenue was down 35% due to lower semi-customer sales. Client gaming segment operating income was $725 million, or 18% of revenue, compared to $496 million, or 17% a year ago. Embedded segment revenue was $950 million, up 3% year-over-year and 11% sequentially as demand strengthened across several end markets. Embedded segment operating income was $357 million, or 38% of revenue, compared to $362 million, or 39% a year ago. Before I review the balance sheet and cash flow, as a reminder, we closed the sale of the ZT System manufacturing business to Sanmina in late October. The fourth quarter financial results of the ZT manufacturing business are reported separately in our financial statement as discontinued operations and are excluded from our non-GAAP financials. Turning to the balance sheet and the cash flow. During the quarter, we generated a record $2.3 billion in cash from continuing operations and a record of $2.1 billion in free cash flow. Inventory increased sequentially by approximately $607 million to $7.9 billion to support strong data center demand. At the end of the quarter, cash equivalents, and short-term investment were $10.6 billion. For the year, we repurchased 12.4 million shares and returned $1.3 billion to shareholders. We ended the year with $9.4 billion authorization remaining and our share repurchase program. Now turning to our first quarter 2026 outlook. We expect revenue to be approximately $9.8 billion, ± $300 million, including approximately $100 million of MI308 sales to China. At the middle point of our guidance, revenue is expected to be up 32% year-over-year, driven by strong growth in our data center and the client and the gaming segments, and the modest growth in our embedded segment. Sequentially, we expect revenue to be down approximately 5%, driven by seasonal decline in our client, gaming, and embedded segment, partially offset by growth in our data center segment. In addition, we expect fourth quarter non-GAAP gross margin to be approximately 55%, non-GAAP operating expense to be approximately $3.05 billion, non-GAAP other net income to be approximately $35 million, non-GAAP effective tax rate to be 13%, and diluted share count is expected to be approximately 1.65 billion shares. In closing, 2025 was an outstanding year for AMD, reflecting disciplined execution across the business to deliver strong revenue growth, increase profitability, and cash generation, while investing aggressively in AI and innovation to support our long-term growth strategy. Looking ahead, we are very well positioned for continued strong top-line revenue growth and earnings expansion in 2026, with a focus on driving data center AI growth, operating leverage, and delivering long-term value to shareholders. With that, I'll turn it back to Matt for the Q&A session.
Yes, thank you very much, Jean. Operator, please go ahead and open the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. We will now be conducting the question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star one on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate that your line is in the queue. You may press star two to remove yourself from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. One moment, please, while we poll for questions. And the first question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Please proceed with your question.
Yeah, thanks for taking the question. Lisa, at your analyst day back in November, you seemed to kind of endorse, the high $20 billion AI revenue expectation that was out there on the street for 2027. I know today you're reaffirming the path to strong double-digit growth. So I guess my question is, can you talk a little bit about what you've seen as far as customer engagements, how those might have expanded? I think you've alluded to in the past multiple multi-gigawatt opportunities. Just just double click on, what you've seen for the MI455 and Helios platform from a demand shaping perspective as we look into the back half of the year.
Yeah, sure, Aaron. Thanks for the question. So first of all, I think the MI450 series development is going extremely well. So we're very happy with the progress that we have. We're right on track for a second half launch and beginning of production. And as it relates to sort of the shape of the ramp and the customer engagements, I would say the customer engagements continue to proceed very well. We have obviously a very strong relationship with OpenAI, and we're planning that ramp starting in the second half of the year, going into 2027. That is on track. We're also working closely with a number of other customers who are very interested in ramping MI450 quickly, just given the strength of the product. And we see that across both inference and training. And that is the opportunity that we see in front of us. So we feel very good about sort of the data center growth overall for us in 2026, and then certainly going into 2027. We've talked about tens of billions of dollars of data center AI revenue, and we feel very good about that.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Tim Arcuri with UBS. Please proceed with your question.
Thanks a lot. Jean, I'm wondering if you can maybe give us a little bit of detail under the hood for the March guidance. I know you basically told us that you told us about what embedded is going to be up a bit year over year. Client sounds like it's down seasonally, which I take to be maybe down 10. So can you give us a sense maybe of the other pieces? And then also, can you give us a sense of how data center GPU is going to ramp through the year. I know it's a back half loaded year, but I think people are thinking at least somewhere in the $14 billion range this year. That's what investors are thinking. I'm not asking you to endorse that, but if you can give us a little flavor for sort of how the ramp will look through the year, that'd be great. Thanks.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for your question. We're guiding one quarter at a time, but I can give you some color about our Q1 guide. First, it's right. Sequentially, we guided a decline around 5%, but data center is actually going to be up. And when you think about it, it's right. Our CPU business, seasonal, actually in a regular seasonal pattern, it's going to be down high single digit. And in our current guide, we actually guide CPU revenue up sequentially very nicely. Also, with the data center GPU side, we also feel really good about, GPU revenue, including China, will be also up. So very nice guide for the data center overall. On the client side, we do see seasonality sequentially decline. Embedded and gaming, they are also have a seasonal decline.
And maybe, Tim, if I just give you a little bit on the full year commentary. I think the important thing as we look at the full year, we're very bullish on the year. We're not, if you look at the key themes, we're seeing very strong growth in the data center, and that's across, two growth vectors. We see, server CPU growth actually very strong. I mean, we've talked about the fact that, CPUs are very important as AI continues to ramp. And we've seen the CPU order book continue to strengthen as we go through the last few quarters and especially over the last 60 days. So we see that as a strong growth driver for us. As Jean said, we see server CPU growing from Q4 into Q1 in what normally is seasonally down. And that continues throughout the year. And then on the data center AI side, it's a very important year for us. It's really an inflection point. MI355 has done well, and we were pleased with the performance in Q4, and we continue to ramp that in the first half of the year. But as we get into the second half of the year, the MI450 is really a inflection point for us. So that revenue will start in the third quarter, but it will ramp significant volume in the fourth quarter as we get into 2027. So that gives you a little bit of, sort of what the data center ramp looks like throughout the year.
Thank you, Lisa.
And the next question comes from the line of Vivek Arya with Bank of America. Please proceed.
Thank you. First, just a clarification on what you're assuming for your China MI308 sales beyond Q1. And then, Lisa, specific to 2026, can your data center revenues grow at your target 60% plus growth rate? I realize that that's a multi-year target, but do you think that there are enough drivers, whether it's on the server CPU side or GPU side, for you to grow at that target base even in 2026? Thank you.
Yeah, sure, Vivek. So let me talk a little bit about China first, because that's, I think, important for us to make sure that's clear. Look, we were pleased to have some MI308 sales in the fourth quarter. They were actually, a license that was approved through, work with the administration. And, those orders were actually from very early in 2025. And so we saw some revenue in Q4, and we're forecasting for about $100 million of revenue in Q1. We are not forecasting any additional revenue from China just because it's a very dynamic situation. So given that it's a dynamic situation, we're still waiting for, we've submitted licenses for the MI325, and we're continuing to work with customers and understanding, sort of their customer demand. We thought it prudent not to forecast any additional revenue other than the $100 million that we called out in the Q1 guide. Now, as it relates to overall data center, as I mentioned in the question to Tim, we're very bullish about data center. I think the combination of drivers that we have across our CPU franchise, I mean, the EPYC product line, both Turin and Genoa continue to ramp well. And in the second half of the year, we will be launching Venice, which we believe actually extends our leadership. And the MI450 ramp, which is also very significant in the second half of 2026. We're not, obviously guiding specifically by segment, but the long-term target of, let's call it greater than 60% is certainly possible in 2026.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. And as a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star one. We ask that you limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Thank you. The next question comes from the line of C.J. Muse with Cantor. Please proceed.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for taking the question. I'm curious on the server CPU side of the house, and given the dramatic tightness, curious, your ability to source incremental capacity from TSMC and elsewhere, and I guess how long will it take for that to see wafers out, and how should we think about the implications for kind of the growth trajectory throughout all of calendar 26? And I guess as part of that, if you could speak to how we should be thinking about inflection in pricing as well, that would be very helpful.
Sure, CJ. So a couple of points about the server CPU market. First of all, we think the overall server CPU TAM is going to grow, let's call it strong double digits in 2026, just given as we said, the relationship between CPU demand and overall AI ramp. So I think that's a positive. Relative to our ability to support that, we've been seeing this trend for the last couple of quarters. So we have increased our supply capacity capability for server CPUs, and that's one of the reasons we're able to increase our Q1 guide as it relates to the server business, and we see the ability to continue to grow that throughout the year. There's no question that the demand continues to be strong, and so we're working with our supply chain partners to increase supply as well. But from what we see today, I think the overall server situation is strong, and we are increasing supply to address that.
Hey, CJ, do you have a follow-up question?
I do. Maybe for Jean, if you could kind of touch on gross margins through the year, and as you balance kind of strengthening server CPU with perhaps greater GPU accelerating in the second half, is there kind of a framework that we should be working off of? Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We are very pleased with our gross margin Q4 performance and the Q1 guide at 55%, which actually is 130 basis point up year over year, while we continue to ramp our MI355 year over year very significantly. I think we are benefiting from a very favorable product mix across all our business. If you think about in data center, we're ramping our new generation product, Turin, and the MI355, which helps the gross margin in client. We continue to move up the stack and also gaining momentum in our commercial business. Our client business gross margin has been improving nicely. In addition, certainly we see the recovery of our embedded business, which is also margin accretive. So all those tailwinds we are seeing, we continue to see in next few quarters. And when MI450 ramp, of course, in Q4, our gross margin will be driven largely by mix, and I think we'll give you more color when we get there. But overall, we feel really good about our gross margin progression this year.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Joe Moore with Morgan Stanley. Please proceed.
Great, thank you. On the MI455 ramp, will 100% of the business be racks? Will there be kind of an 8-way server business around that architecture? And then is the revenue recognition when you ship to the rack vendor, or is there something to understand about that? Thank you.
Yes, Joe. So we do have multiple variants of the MI450 series, including an 8-way GPU form factor. But for 2026, I would say the vast majority of it is going to be rack scale solutions. And yes, we will take revenue when we ship to the rack builder.
Okay, great. And then can you talk to any risks that you may have in terms of, once you get silicon out, turning that into racks, any potential issues as you ramp that? I know your competitor had some last year, and you said you learned from that. Is there anything you've done with kind of pre-building racks to sort of ensure you won't have those issues? Just any risk that we need to understand around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Joe, the main thing is the development's going really well. We're right on track with the MI450 series as well as the Helios rack development. We've done a lot of testing already, both at the rack scale level as well as at the silicon level. So far, so good. We are getting let's call it a lot of input from our customers on things to test so that we can do a lot of testing in parallel. And our expectation is that we will be on track for our second half launch.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the line of Stacy Rasgon with Research. Please proceed.
Hi guys, thanks for taking my questions. First one, Lisa, I just wanted to ask about OpEx. Like every quarter, you guys are guiding it up, and then it's coming in even higher, and then you're guiding it up again. And I understand, given the growth trajectory, that you need to invest, but how should we think about the ramp of that OpEx and that spending number, especially as the GPU revenue starts to inflect? Do we get leverage on that, or should we be expecting the OpEx to be growing even more materially as the AI revenue starts to ramp?
Yeah, sure, Stacy. Thanks for the question. Look, I think in terms of OpEx, we're at a point where we have very high conviction in the roadmap that we have, and so in 2025, as the revenue increased, we did lean in on OpEx, and I think it was for all the right reasons. As we get into 2026 and as we see some of the significant growth that we're expecting, we should absolutely see leverage. And the way to think about it is, we've always said in our long-term model that OpEx should grow slower than revenue, and we would expect that in 2026 as well, especially as we get into the second half of the year and we see inflection in the revenue. But at this point, I think if you look at our free cash flow generation and the overall revenue growth, I think the investment in OpEx is absolutely the right thing to do.
Thank you. For my follow-up, I actually have two sort of one-line answers I'm looking for. Just first, the $100 million in China revenue in Q1, does that also drop through at zero cost basis like we had in Q4, and is that a margin headwind? And number two, I know you don't give us the AI number, but could you just give us the annual 2025 Instinct number now that we're through the year? Like how big was it?
So Stacy, let me answer your first question on the $100 million revenue in Q1. Actually, the inventory reserve reversed in Q4, which was $360 million. Not only it's associated with the Q4 revenue, China revenue, but also covers the $100 million revenue we expect to ship in Q1 to China with our MI308. So the Q1 gross margin guide is a very clean guide.
And Stacy, for your second question, as you know, we don't guide at the business level, but to help you with your models, I think you can, if you look at the Q4 data center AI number, even if you were to back out the China number, which was, let's call it not a recurring number, you would still see growth. You'll see growth from Q3 to Q4. So that should help you a little bit with your modeling.
Thank you. And the next question comes from the line of Joshua Buchalter with TD Cowen. Please proceed.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my question. I wanted to ask about clients. So the segment beat, pretty handily in the fourth quarter. And recognize you guys have been gaining share with Ryzen. But I think given what we've been seeing in the memory market, there's a lot of concern about inflationary costs and the potential for pull-ins. Were there any changes in your order patterns during the quarter, and maybe bigger picture, how are you thinking about client growth and the health of that market into 2026?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Josh. The client market has performed extremely well, for us throughout 2025. Very strong growth for us, both in terms of ASP mixing up the stack as well as just unit growth. Going into 2026, we are certainly watching the development of the business. I think the PC market is an important market. Based on everything that we see today, we're probably seeing the PC TAM down a bit, just given some of the inflationary pressures of the commodities pricing, including memory. The way we are modeling the year is, let's call it second half a bit sub-seasonal to first half, just given everything that we see. Even in that environment with the PC market down, we believe we can grow the our PC business. And our focus areas are enterprise. That's a place where we're making very nice progress in 2025, and we expect that into 2026, and just continuing to grow, sort of at the premium, higher end of the market.
Thank you for the color there. Then I wanted to ask about the Instinct family. So we've seen your big GPU competitor make a deal with an SRAM-based spatial architecture provider, and then OpenAI has reportedly been linked to one as well. Could you speak to the competitive implications of that? You've done well in inferencing, I think, partly because of your leadership in HBM content. So I was wondering if you could maybe address the pull seemingly motivated by lower latency inference and how Instinct is positioned to service this if you're indeed seeing it as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Josh, it's really, I think, the evolution that you might expect as the AI market matures. What we're seeing is as inference ramps, really the tokens per dollar or the efficiency of the inference stack becomes more and more important. As you know, with our chiplet architecture, we have a lot of ability to optimize across inference, training, and even across sort of the different stages of inference as well. So I think I view this as very much as you go into the future, you'll see more workload optimized products, and you can do that with GPUs as well as with other more ASIC-like architectures. I think we have the full compute stack to do all of those things, and from that standpoint, we're going to continue to lean into inference as we view that as a significant opportunity for us in addition to ramping our training capabilities.
Thank you. And the next question comes from the line of Ben Reitzes with Melius Research. Please proceed.
Yeah, hey, thanks. Appreciate it. Hey, Lisa, I wanted to ask you about OpenAI. I'm sure a lot of the volatility out there is not lost on you. Is everything on track for the second half for starting the 6 gigawatts and the 3.5-year timeline as far as you know? And is there any other color that you'd just like to give on that relationship? And then I have a follow-up. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Ben, what I would say is, we're very much working in partnership with OpenAI as well as our CSP partners to deliver on MI450 series and deliver on the ramp. The ramp is on schedule to start in the second half of the year. MI450 is doing great. Helios is doing well. We are in, let's call it deep co-development across all of those parties. And, as we look forward, I think we are optimistic about the MI450 ramp for OpenAI. But I also want to, remind everyone that we have a broad set of customers that are, very excited about MI450 series. And so in addition to the work that we're doing with OpenAI, there are a number of customers that we're working to ramp in that time frame as well.
Replacement. So we have a complete plan for the whole solution, but some other systems are still too early to say too much at this moment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Next question is from the line of Malik Newman with Bernstein. Your line is now open.
Hi, yes, Mark Newman. Thanks for taking my question, and congrats on great quarter and great outlook. Just curious, if we just take a step back, I mean, what's changed? You've got a big step up here in sales, gross margins down quite a lot, but you're guiding forwards for solid sales to continue. So is this just a reflection of a tougher pricing environment and Supermicro having to react to tougher pricing environment and thus winning back more share? Or is this just catching up to, as you refer to the previous couple of quarters, you mentioned about a few orders getting pushed out. So is this just catch up of the orders, or is this a reflection of a more aggressive pricing strategy? And I guess importantly for me, like trying to think about forward estimates going forwards, I mean, you guided for the short term, but how do we think about gross margins longer term? Is this kind of range here to stay, or are we looking at getting back to into the low, high single digit, low double digit range gross margin like you were before? Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. As an engineering company, we for sure have some choice. We can continue to grow large account aggressively, or spend more effort to develop technology, good product, and to grow more enterprise account. So we are doing both ways basically, and so the gross margin, net margin for sure, we are expecting to grow to a double digit as soon as possible. David, you may add something.
Sure. We think that we've established ourselves with a number of deployments that we've made as being really the premier provider of the most current technologies that are available on the market. And we think with those strong installations, we have we've broadened our reach into the market. And so we think that we're trying to target both, as Charles mentioned, both large scale and smaller scale customers and mid-tier customers. But we want to serve all the customer bases that are out there and that are attracted to our products and bring them the very best technologies. We think ultimately that drives the margins. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you for your question.
Well, we just think that's the.
Next question is from the line of Brandon Nispel with KeyCorp. Your line's now open.
Guys, just I think a couple of quick clarification questions. One for David. David, you raised some new capital this quarter. Maybe just help us understand how you're thinking about working capital for the rest of this year. And then other income came in about $50 million above your guide. Really, what drove that? And then just one quick follow-up question. Thanks.
Sure. The other income was higher interest income that we had because our cash reserves had grown, and so we were earning good interest income. However, that was quickly taken up by the fact that, as I mentioned last quarter, we had well in excess of $13 billion of orders for purchase orders for delivery, and so we immediately had to use that. That's why our accounts receivable, our inventory went up, and so we took in not only two different $2 billion or $2 and $1.8 billion credit facilities. We also set up an accounts receivable factoring. So we have access to over $5 billion of additional capital, and if we continue to have growth, then we have access to additional capital in the marketplace. But right now, we think that for the current outlook, we have adequate capital to meet our needs. And when I say current, I mean
I appreciate the color.
Orders.
Got it. Just on the factoring, the securitization facility, did you utilize that at all this quarter? And then on the 63% customer, was that a previous 10% customer? Thanks.
So to the first question, we did not use it during the December quarter, but we have subsequently. To your second question, Supermicro does most of its business with repeat customers. So I'll just leave it at that.
But at the same time, we added lots of.
We've added a lot of new logos at the same time. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's because of those successful customers.
Okay, but we don't know if the 63% of customer is new to the 10% customer mix, or if it's a previous 10% customer. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll just refer you to the 10-Ks and Qs on that.
Okay. Thanks for taking the questions.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to clarify one thing in my narrative regarding the fully diluted share count. So the GAAP fully diluted share count increased sequentially from 663 to 694 million shares. And then the non-GAAP share count increased from 677 million to 709 million. So there was just noticed a typo on there. So please forgive the correction.
Yep. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I just want to inform you that we had heard there were some technical difficulties with our webcast provider. A replay will be provided after the call, so you can catch up on that. Thank you for joining today.
That concludes the conference call. Thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect your lines.